Questions without notice. Are there any questions? I give the call to the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, in the budget, the government had an opportunity to outline a plan to provide relief for families from the cost of living crisis. The government also had an opportunity to implement your promise to Australians to reduce their power prices by $275, and yet the government did nothing. If the government does have a plan to help Australians, why hasn't it been announced by now? Why, after 6 months, has this Prime Minister left Australian families and businesses waiting?
Call to the Prime Minister.
Well, I thank the Leader of the Opposition for his question. He speaks about 6 months in office, and indeed we have been in government for 6 months. And 6 months ago, what we inherited was the largest deficit since the Second World War and $1 trillion of debt.
Member for Deakin will cease interjecting.
We inherited sluggish economic growth, an economy that wasn't growing like it used to. We inherited productivity going backwards. We inherited declining business investment, and we inherited widespread skills shortages which were holding businesses back. We inherited flatlining wages. Many Australians hadn't received a decent pay rise in almost a decade, in spite of working longer hours and working harder. More Australians in insecure work than ever before. We framed a budget through the Treasurer of Australia doing hard work through the ERC process to make sure that we framed a budget that did not put further pressure on inflation. Because of what is happening globally, we were responsible, and that's why we put 99% over 2 years of the revenue gains that had been made, in part because of the inflated prices of our resources, we put straight into the bottom line. But we made room as well to assist with cost of living pressures. We made room to deliver on our childcare commitments, the largest on-budget commitment that we've made that will help more than 1 million Australian families. We made room to have the first decrease in the cost of medicines since a former Labor government introduced the pharmaceutical benefit scheme, from $42.50 down to $30. We made room to create 180,000 fee-free TAFE places to provide for that support for people wanting to get better education and training. But importantly as well, we took action in our first 6 months to increase the inputs that are called wages, something that those opposite had a deliberate strategy of keeping wages low over their decade in office. We put forward a proposition as one of our first acts for people on the minimum wage to not go backwards. And indeed, the Fair Work Commission listened. That 5.2% increase, that dollar coin that I held up day after day during the election campaign that was going to wreck the economy, that was reckless according to those opposite. Well, it wasn't reckless, it was responsible.